gonna give us, okay. So again, element 18 and habits of health, section 2.12. And we're gonna do element 18. Exercise is your gift to yourself. So last week, the past couple of weeks, we were just going over element 17, exploring being a perpetual motion machine and using the systems that Dr. A presents. He gives us two systems, the NEAT system and the EAT system. So we were just wrapping up the NEAT system. And remember, participation and shares is always invited here. So I'll put our first interaction opportunity. You could go into your chat. Somebody share what the NEAT system stands for, and also the EAT system. You could just write in the chats down below, and we'll get some activity going there. And then also in Habits of Health 2.12, I'll give you the page here. We're on page 380 in the other book. So follow along with us as we get started and everyone's coming into the room. But yes, I didn't see anyone write in the message. So the NEAT system is a non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and EAT is exercise activity thermogenesis. So again, Dr. A is presenting his motion system to us. And on page 381 of the Habits of Health, or 354 in your life book, he defines EAT, exercise activity thermogenesis, as planned movement that's vigorous enough to improve overall fitness. So there's a difference between NEAT. EAT is planned movement, right? Not involuntary and involuntary, things that we just do in our daily activity, but this is actually set aside for planned motion. And it has to be vigorous enough to improve your overall fitness. So we're gonna do a little math problem just to calculate our heart rates, our target heart rates that we wanna be in during EAT activity to get the benefits of it. And any activity performed deliberately to enhance the body's conditioning, ranging from intensity of a brisk walk to a triathlon. So again, the NEAT system, it gives us an opportunity to burn 200 to 300 extra calories just by doing the 6 S's and parking farther and all those little tips that we talked about in the previous weeks. But now we want to shift and progress to the next part 2 of the motion system. So again, Dr. A, if you've noticed throughout his book, he wants to build habits that are going to last a lifetime. He doesn't want to give us something so that it's not able to replicate for longevity. He really wants us to build a lifetime of health, and hence habits of health, right? We're creating those. And if you are continuing with me, he gives on page 382, he gives 3 core goals of the Habits of Health motion system. And it's also on page 355 of your life book. And those 3 core goals are essentially increasing energy expenditure to create a consistent balance of energy in, energy out. So we've already accomplished a lot of this with our nutrition intake. We are portion control. We are eating every 3 hours, 6 times a day. We are regulating that energy in, energy out balance for our weight. If you were on several weeks ago when I did TEE, we even calculated that number, and there's a formula that Dr. A gives us. But again, with those, that first goal, just creating a balance of energy expenditure. And then the second goal is to optimize cardiovascular health so that your heart, lungs, and blood vessels can deliver enough oxygen to keep your cells functioning properly, especially your brain cells. And as you know, cardiovascular health is key. So he does the NEAT and EAT system as a simple solution for us to start improving that. And the third point is building a strong, healthy support system of bones and muscle to help you stay active, keep fit, and maintain healthy weight. So some of you may have noticed as you progress in your journey on 5 and 1 or 4 and 2, and you've gotten closer to your goal weight and you've lost, whether it's 10 pounds or 50 pounds or 100 pounds plus, your rate of loss is decreasing because the amount of energy our body burns at a higher weight, it drops as we lose that weight. And how do we counteract that? How do we continue to lose weight towards our goal, or when we transition, maintain that weight or optimize it? And this is where the emotion system comes in place. So it all ties together. And with that, he gives us a little diagram. I love Dr. A's pictures on the Habits of Health 382. It's that habit loop, but it's with his motion system. So it just shows kind of like energy expenditure, cardiovascular system, musculoskeletal health system. They all tie in together. And again, it's really key that we understand what we're doing things for, because it could be very, if we're not paying attention what our goal is and what we're working towards, we could lose sight of that. And we want to keep moving forward in our health. So if you're following, before you start, he says in Habits of Health 383, before you begin, we want to stay safe. We want to be smart. And so he tells us to calculate our target heart rate. So we're going to do a little group activity here. And he's also, before we do actually get started too, I just noticed section 2.1, or I'm sorry, 2.10 in Habits of Health 3, page 365. He tells us tools for success. Again, we're going to be tracking things, and we talked about the importance of tracking and monitoring things. Tools for success. We need the right tools so we can function properly. And it's simply having a heart rate monitor, a pedometer, a smartwatch, a stopwatch, so we can track our activity as we go, because that's part of the process. But we're going to calculate our target heart rate. So in our life book, element 18, page 356, 357, there's that first assignment, maximum heart rates. When we get into eat activity, we need to be at a certain target heart rate, so we know that we're getting cardiovascular benefits, musculoskeletal benefits, etc. So if you want to follow along, how about in your everybody, if you have your life book out, you see that formula is 220 minus your age. That's the first step. So if everyone has done that, let's do 220 minus your age. And then the example here in the life book gives a 50-year-old person. So we can all see that 220 minus 50 is 170. And then you want to times 170 by a percentage. And when we're getting started, that percentage is 50 to 65% is what Dr. A recommends, because we don't want to overdo it, right? I know we all been doing the program, losing the weight, and we've been patient and we're eager to get started in our health. But put a 1 in the chat if you had an exercise routine prior to Optavia, and put a 2 in the chat if you did not do any activity at all. And we could see that everyone has a different starting level, right? So some people were into fitness or did some type of exercise before. Some people, they didn't. And the NEAT chapters the previous weeks told us how we can get out of being the sitting disease, right? Sedentary lifestyle, and get into motion. So we have a mixture, right? We have a lot of 1s, but we also have some 2s that fitness was not a priority or something that was a habit yet. So we have to ease our way into that. And when we're getting started, 50% to 65%. So you simply take that number, 220 minus your age, times it by 50. That's your lower end of your threshold. And that's why I told you need the tools for success. You need something to track your heart rate, or be able to track those beats per minute. And then the higher end when you're getting started is 65%. So 85 to 110 is for that 50-year-old person example. And everyone, if you should go ahead and fill that out on your own if you haven't. And then as we progress, yes, definitely we're going to increase the intensity to 75, 85%. And the maximum heart rate that he recommends is 85% when we're optimally fit. And that will be a different number, right? So again, the key is to do it smart and do it safe. And we also want to, he gives us some other tips. I'm looking in the Habits of Health, page 383. Keep it slow. Slow, careful movements for weight training. A lot of people you see in the gym, they're grunting, they're pushing the weights heavy and fast. And Dr. A is saying, I have a different approach. There could be a risk for injury. And if we get injured, how are we going to be able to keep in motion? So he wants us to work out smart and safe. Use slow, careful movements and slow contractions. And that is going to help. He talks about a study that when he went to his university, they did a study on that, and slower motions, holding the contraction point and then slowly releasing, controlling the weight, does a lot more for tearing your muscle fibers than just rapid movements that can cause injury. And as always, we want to stretch before and then cool down after. So for the level 1 of the EAT exercise, he starts with simply walking. And we're going to walk on this program to build our heart rate and get a gauge of where we're at and then progress there. So level 1, walking and fitness program. Level 2 is resistance program, and level 3 is boosting your workouts. So Yolanda, I see a thumbs up. Do you have something you want to share? If not, I just saw a thumbs up, so I just wanted to make sure we weren't missing anyone. Okay, so as we move in to walking program level 1, we've already gotten used to the NEAT system, where we are purposefully parking farther, walking more, adding extra calories and steps into our day. And essentially, he recommends trying to get into the habit of walking, like a 5-minute warm up, 10-minute actual walking routine, and then a cool down of 5 minutes. Again, just to start slow for some of us. Other people that you are already advanced of that, or you're already walking, that's what you just need to do. You need to gauge where you're at, and you want to be in that target heart rate that we calculated there. So as we progress walking, we're going to start picking up the pace in the walking program. And again, pretty common sense, but where to walk, what to wear, the shoes. We want to be in appropriate clothing so we are comfortable. We don't create further injury in our feet if we're not walking in appropriate stuff. And then we're going to do that starting phase. And then on page 386 in the Habits of Health, he just says 30 minutes of moderate physical activity a day, walking 1.5 miles, 3 to 4 miles per hour, is sufficient to support cardiovascular health. So getting in that simple habit, on my worst day, can I just do 30 minutes of cardiovascular health, of walking? And that's why he starts, us on this schedule where we're building into it. Because if he just said, all right, now you're going to just go into walking 2 to 4 miles, and it's not something that is easily accomplished, especially for people that are starting out new, they're going to get discouraged. And then there's also in conjunction with your target heart rate of perceived exertion on page 387, we want to be able to talk and as we walk out, and he gives us a scale. Ideally, we want to be in the range where maybe a 3 to a 5, light to moderate type of exercise for the benefits of this. And as we go higher, you're starting to get into more vigorous workout where it's maybe pushing section 3, which is the high intensity interval training. So again, we all know our comfort levels, but one of the tips that he gives us again is we also, while we're burning calories and energy, we need to fuel our body. And he gives us a reminder on page 387 in the Habits of Health book. Schedule fueling within 60 minutes after you exercise, because we need to replenish those muscle fibers and tissues that we had just exerted. Okay, so I'm just going to give opportunity for anyone to share. Maybe they've started this walking program. Maybe they have, they already are doing something and they have advanced. Anybody in the call today want to talk about how their walking program experience went? And Yolanda, or I see a comment. If anyone wants to
So
share.
I will.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
will. So right now I'm actually in transition, my 3rd week. Yay! And so the whole time I had been increasing my walking, starting at, I was exercising before, but I was really afraid of this low calorie situation. And as I was reading and learning, I kept my walking and I kept, increasing it. So I was very good about doing a mile a day with my dogs. And then after the 3 weeks, I picked up, 20 minutes on the elliptical, just slow and steady, because I didn't want to overdo. I was afraid, really. I did have a heart problem before, and I had a heart monitor implant, which actually got removed 2 weeks ago. So that's a really good thing. My heart's behaving because I've lost the 40 pounds and such, and increased my exercise. Cardiologist is very proud of me and happy about that. He asked what I was doing, and I explained it all to him. So the walking, so I increased the elliptical, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe a month later, I picked up, the strengthening and toning three times a week without weights, just body strength only. And it was 15 to 20 minutes, and, just 3 days a week, and trying to do all of that at the same time. But the walking, I think, increasing it, I wasn't paying attention to my heart rate. And so now, I think now when you reach that threshold of the weight loss and then the calorie kind of intake kind of balances, am I right? Like, then you have to do something, right? You have to do a little more exercise, a little more intensity, to maintain that. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. And I'm weighing myself to follow up, like, Dr. A says to do. And so I'm seeing how it is helping. It is working. So little by little. But I think now I've increased by adding the weights to my strengthening and toning that I was already doing before. So now that's where the increase in intensity is. So now I need to monitor my heart rate and get all that in place. So there you go.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And again, if anyone else wants to share their experience, I'll give a quick second before moving on. And if I don't see any other hands, then we'll continue. But again, with like Yolanda said, she needs to start tracking more around some of those items. And I want to show you some tools that Dr. A mentioned in the book. He refers to habitsofhealth.com. So I'm sure we've all been familiar, but I'm going to share my screen and give you some tools, some tracking tools that we can use. So as I share my screen here, we have habitsofhealth.com. It's Dr. A's website. And we're always going to go to system resources. It's the green tab at the top right. So again, with that, there's some good content here. There's tracking tools, but we want to go to Habits of Health motion section. And he gives us some videos. So before I start part 2, which is the resistance training, I just wanted to show you where you could find some information on that. And Habits of Health motion resources. So here you can, if everyone could see, we're looking at the habitshealth.com, and there's a bunch of neat and eat sheets that we can utilize if we want to start tracking our journey better. So when you click it, here is the example of the eat walking program daily tracking sheet. And you could literally track each day how much warm-up time, how much walking you did, your cool down, your total steps if you have a pedometer or a smartwatch, and the miles. And that scale that we talked about, the rate of perceived exertion. Was this hard for me? Is this getting easier? I need to increase the intensity. I need to increase the pace or the distance. And it gives us a quick reference. 2,000 steps is a mile. So there's that resource. We also have the resistance program that we're going to go into, and he splits it up into upper body, lower body. So I just wanted to have a visual for you so you could see what we're talking about. He has 2 rotations he's suggesting, and we're going to track everything, right? Whether we're just doing body weight or we're using dumbbells or a certain weight amount, and upper body, lower body. And that is going to be covering all these different body parts. Well, I don't know what to do for that exercise. So then when you click on the motion videos, he has a YouTube page with literally 70 videos that gives you all these different exercises to do your different body parts, your arms, your back, your lower body, chest, etc. So take time to go through that. If you don't have a routine that of getting into motion, he makes it very easy for us. And we just pick 5 of those for the upper body, 5 for the lower body. And if you read in your books here, in the Habits of Health and the Life book, the resistance program, that's part 2. So again, we want to do slow and controlled contractions. We want to do follow those videos if you need help, if you need a starting point, and really progress into more weight. Don't just jump right ahead, because we want to avoid injury is the big thing. And he gives us a little pointer. He says, make sure we're getting in the habit of doing 20,000 steps per week consistently. And we're going to get into the part 2. And he suggests 5 days of walking program and 2 days of resistance program. Space it out so you give your body time to recover for your muscles, because we don't want injury. And always warm up and stretch before and after. And on the Life book, he gives you that exercise repetition breakdown. Contract for 8 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and then relax for 8 seconds. And again, he's suggesting in his findings from the university he went to and looking into other work, that is a very productive type of exercising versus just very forceful exertions, especially at people. He's trying to meet people at all levels of their health in this program. So if you want to pursue other things like bodybuilding, that's a maybe a more advanced level, but just for general health, this is what he's suggesting. And again, he also gives us a cue, like a little weekly system here. Typical week on the motion system on page 393 of your Habits of Health book, what it would look like. Maybe Monday, you do upper body. Tuesday and Wednesdays, you're walking. Thursday, you do the lower body resistance program. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're walking. So you're doing 5 and 2, 5 walking days, 2 resistance program days. So he also gives you tips around possibly choosing a trainer, seeking help in a gym, but he tells you can do all this at home. We don't need to pay for a gym membership. We don't need to hire a personal trainer. That is just if you want to get more support. That's a good idea, especially if you've never been used to exercising. But for the most part, he's trying to make it very simple. You could do it at home. You could do it on vacation. There's no excuse. We have your own personal training videos that you could watch and help you get your workout routine you need. So I'll open it up again. Does anyone have, has anyone attempted the Habits of Health resistance program? Have they utilized this in their own health, in their own journey? We like to see if someone wants to share on that and how that's going for them. And if we don't have anybody, then I know we're getting close to the end of time. I just like to open it up to anyone, and it looks like we have a certified trainer that's affirming what Dr. A is saying about the slow, controlled movements. So thank you for sharing that, Karen. And again, we didn't have time. We had a little late start there in the beginning. So we're going to continue this element 18 and 2.12 next week with, I believe, Dawn Busby. And she's going to wrap up some of the things that we didn't get to. She's going to go into level 3, the HIIT, talk about some supplements possibly that Dr. A mentions, and give us put a bow on this element 18, the EAT activity, right? Energy, exercise, activity, thermogenesis. Do we have anyone that wants to share something that would benefit the group? Maybe something outside of following this system. Maybe they were more advanced in coming in. Or Stacy, you have your hand up there.
Yes, I just wanted to encourage you all to just, no matter how small the movement is, just start today. You know, getting 5 minutes of walking in, 10 minutes of walking, and increase it as you go, because it's going to make a world of difference in the way you feel. You know, an example for me, where I live, we kind of live at the bottom of a hill. And I remember before program, we would walk this hill, and I swear I was bent over halfway just to try to get up this hill. And now, after losing 80 pounds, I've been able to just, you know, that's the start of my walking, you know, and I walk 3 miles a day after work with a friend of mine where we can have a conversation. I'm not winded, and it's cool to see how much it has changed. Just my, excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cough. Just the way I feel when I do just the walking. So I'm excited to get started on doing some resistance now. So now that I've been diving into this element, it's making me really want to get started on the resistance. But, you know, I'm just trying to encourage you all to just start somewhere. And every week, every day, however, you know, you can handle it, is just increase it by a little bit, just by walking a little bit more, because it will make you over time feel 100% better. So thank you, Chris. Opal.
Yes. Before Optavia, I was doing physical therapy. I have fibromyalgia and arthritis, so I was going through physical therapy. And they started me on the cycle for like 10 minutes, and then we moved. We would do the stretches and everything, have me do the stretches and everything. And then I went over to doing the elliptical for 10 minutes. So long story short, my husband, he purchased, because I was like, okay, they went up like $60 for me to go to finish physical therapy. And I'm like, okay, I got to think of a plan B, because when I finish with physical therapy, I want to continue, you know, doing this. And so my husband purchased a elliptical for me. So I started planning, you know, doing the 10 minutes, starting slow, and then do walking. I do indoor walking, or I have to do a flat surface. So I'll do about 20 minutes, but I would just try to even that out. But I like how Dr. A had said that how he would put his sneakers by his bed in the morning. You know, it's like when you get up after you finish your devotion or whatever, like having that there, a visual to get up and do. And so I said now that I've lost 20 pounds, and I went walking with my neighbor this week. And typically I have a very high incline heels. And normally I would be in a whole lot of pain just after I finished walking. But this time I wasn't. And so I feel the difference, and just having that, starting those small movements, like you said, moving and everything, it helps, and it helps a lot. So I would just want to share with you. So it just helped. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that share, Opal. It's always good to see members of our community that are really living it out with Dr. A's program, and they're incorporating all of the components, all of the habits of health that we really encourage. It's not just one component of nutrition and feelings, it's so much more. There's motion, there's sleep, there's a mindset, all these things that we talk about and read about. We want to apply it to our lives, and that's awesome that you're doing that, Opal. So anyone else an opportunity to share, or we can wrap this up and see you next week. All right, well, Stacy, do you want to take us out? And
all right, thanks, Chris. that was an amazing share. It really opened my eyes to a few things. So I appreciate that. Definitely get into printing out those log sheets and start somewhere. Go out there today and start somewhere. And we will be back next week to wrap up element 18 with Dawn. And I hope you guys have an amazing week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, guys.